Good morning and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am DM Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today's video is going to be a continuation of my series, the AD&D First Edition for modern players. I'm going to be focusing on the most commonly worshipped deities of Greyhawk, all of my AD&D First Edition campaigns back in the day from 79 through roughly 87 or 88 as a player, and now my more recent AD&D First Edition, running game mastery of the game system and in that world setting. These are the deities that I'm going to focus on that have come up most frequently in my gaming experience with the world of Greyhawk. So this is not going to be exclusive to clerics or paladins. I've actually found that in many cases, regardless of character classes, we most of our characters, whether as a player or as a dungeon master and my players, most of their characters have always aligned with one deity or another, based on their character class and or based on their character race, and it's always been a really important part of um, of their character development and just the way that they role played their characters. And again, regardless of whether or not they were clerics or paladins, uh, those aren't the exclusive classes to follow a deity, even though it's required of them. We've had fighters that had certain deities that they would leave sacrifices to or whatnot, and thieves had almost always had some kind of a god of thieves that they followed, whether it be regardless of their race as well, whether human or in my case, halflings and whatnot. So I think it's really important for you to include um, any form of deity worship in your campaign, regardless of your world setting, because it does lead to the players kind of developing their characters and having the characters kind of align with something uh, that will help flesh them out and give them some a guideline, even if it's loosely followed, of how their character is going to portray themselves to the rest of the party, as well as interact with the world. So, without further ado, let me jump right into the book that I'm going to be using for this resource. Now, there's a lot of places that you're going to be able to tap into resources, whether it be deities and demigods or legends and lore. I'm going to use the Greyhawk hardback by James Ward, and but also I'm going to rely on the Best of Dragon Magazine Volume 3, which was my introduction to many of the deities, especially the demi-human deities that were in there, plus the humanoid deities as well. So that's another really great resource to have. But I'm pretty sure they'll all also be in this book, and you can go with just this as well. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So here we have, as I said, the Greyhawk Adventures. This is really a must-have if you are running AD&D First Edition, particularly if you're setting it in Greyhawk. So I'm going to focus on the deities that are very, very common. I'm not going to go through all of them because, as you can see, there's a ton of them. But I'm going to go through many of these, and then I will then switch views to the other book that I use, which is which is the non-human deities. So just scrolling through here, let me just see how this is organized. Sorry about that. So here we have Bokab, and Bokab is a greater deity, as you can see here, and Bokab is a deity that I've had many magic users uh, follow and leave tokens of appreciation for this deity and whatnot throughout their adventuring career. And as you can see, the way that this is laid out, um, it has all of the breakdown for each deity. So it has the deities' alignment, their worshippers' alignment, so the range of worshippers' alignment. It has the spheres of control, the ideas, events, or subjects the deity controls or is interested in. And this is something that I've spoken about in a previous video on this. That I actually value that more so than than just the alignment uh, being paired up with each other really well. Is I require clerics and paladins to demonstrate adherence to these spheres of control. So they have to, on a daily basis, do one of them, during the course of the day, day's adventuring or whatnot, in order to be able to replenish their spells for the following day. And there's the holy symbol, the color most commonly associated with the deity. And so they would tend to wear these colors, especially the clerics and paladins should have raiments that kind of match up with this. They're playing their avatars as to how they're physically manifested in the prime material world. Um, Obviously I don't get into the fact that the game mechanic that it's possible to slay deities unless it is deity upon deity conflict. There are abbreviations. I'm not going to get into all of that. This is pretty standard stuff. Um, each deity has a section on their clerics and their raiment. So, like their alignment, their raiment. Cleric wears and performs formal rituals to the deity and the cleric's preferred garb at other times. So they're required to wear this raiment during their ceremonies. Additional experience costs, which is something that I've never really delved into very much, but the penalty in experience points the cleric must pay when advancing in levels. This is offset by unique special abilities the deity grants to the cleric. So I've never actually gotten into that before, and it's something that's kind of interesting to me, and I might consider it if I'm going to give them additional spells or weapons that they can use specifically for the deities that they're following. And that gets into the next section of weapons. So the types of weapons a cleric may use, which breaks from the player's handbook rules that clerics can't use slashing or piercing weapons. Well, if their deity's primary weapon is a sword or a bow or something, then the clerics of that deity can. The spheres, the kinds of spells the deity makes available to its clerics, special abilities that they grant to their clerics, and additional spells that fall outside of the deity sphere but are available to the clerics. So, as I said, Bokab is a very common one, and at least in my experience, magic users tend to follow Bokab. I've never had a cleric player or um, player character, I should say, as a player, or a player run a cleric of Bokab. Um, I think if you had like a dual class or a multi-classed um, magic user cleric, that would actually fit very well with this. So we'll go to the next one. So Celestian is a lesser deity, and the one of the players in my group is actually a cleric of Celestian. So this is going to be very interesting. I'm going to spend some time looking at this deity and trying to work that in to the story of the world as it unfolds in the perspective of a follower of Celestian as well. I also see that Celestian and Farlagan are brothers, and Farlagan has been a really, really common deity for my players to have their characters follow as well, and not just for priests. Although there was in my more recent long 2+ year campaign, one of the clerics was actually a cleric of Farlagan. Um, so Celestian is going to play a big role in my campaign moving forward. St. Cuthbert, so I am running the village of Hamlet, and there is an actual temple of St. Cuthbert in in Hamlet. So again, this deity is going to play a major role, not individually, not as a deity, but his worshippers are going to play a major role in this upcoming campaign. Elona is a deity that's very common for rangers and or druids to follow. I've worshipped this deity as a ranger, playing a ranger character on several occasions, and you know, very very common in our campaigns. And I believe one of my players now is actually a worshiper of Alana. So again, I'm going to be working that into the I'll be working that into the campaign as well. So her weapon is a longbow. So if there's a cleric, the cleric can use a longbow. Farlagan, as I mentioned previously, is one that plays a significant role. Um, in Calibus, I've never actually um, integrated in Calibus into my campaigns. Istus, if I recall, one of my players um, way back, or fellow players way back, followed the um, Istus, a major deity. Now, Eots is a demigod, very very common, very important, primary figure of the Greyhawk Wars, and and so just um, a major opponent to work against this deity's machinations in the world of Greyhawk. So very very important. That comes up. A Neril is one that I've used in the past as well. Um, so again, just as an oppositional force in the world, major evil deity, and one that that has a um, good encounters, with the player party, where the player party can be working against the religion of Neryl's, clerics and such. Foltis is one that has come up quite a bit too, in my experience, and had a number of player characters in my groups that followed Foltis. And I was building a campaign which I didn't actually launch, that was going to be the followers of Foltis as well. Um, Relishaz, I don't believe I've ever used in any way, or as a player or whatnot. Ula, same thing. Let's see. And that's it for those. Um, that's it for those. There's others that there are others that are not included in here, like Ouijas. I am using. Um, so let me see if others are included later in this. These are just adventure hooks that are in this book. So I'm going to pull up some of my other resources, and we're going to switch views. So I'm going to pull up some of my other resources here. Just give me a moment. Okay, so as I mentioned, I primarily used for non-human deities, um, the deities from the Best of Dragon Magazine Volume 3, as I mentioned, and this was our introduction, back when this first came out, to those deities. So this came out in 1983, and that's when we really started, um, delving into them beyond the deities that were in Deities and Demigods. So here it starts off with the dwarven gods, and what I really like about the way that this handles them is that it not just gives you the deities, but it also talks about the dwarves' perspective, the dwarven point of view, and so it really does give you a great background and a starting off point of just understanding each of these races and how they might interact with the world. Now, this is all by Roger Moore. So Roger Moore is writing about the dwarven point of view, and we have Clangeddin, Silverbeard. So we have some of these deities here. They always include the major one. Vergadane is the god of wealth and luck. That's one that's actually come up several times in my experience. Then we have the elven point of view, and this we're going to go to these deities that are here, and let's see. Now there were several. I guess there's only only 2 pages here. So we have Airdrie, which is the goddess of air and weather. That's this one up over here. We have Erevan Elessir, the god of mischief and change. That deity has been used in the past. I played a half-elf thief back in 1980-ish or so. I believe it was the first time that I played a female character as well, and yeah, she was definitely mischievous. Um, she was worshippers alignment, all chaotics and thieves, and she was really quite. She was probably closer to chaotic evil as as my characters tended to go. Usually chaotic neutral for the most part, but she had a real evil, um, just driven by greed to an excess. Um, Hanali Selenil, goddess of romantic love and beauty. Don't recall ever using her in any way, but you can see the art in this book is incredible. Uh, Lebeles Anoreth, the goddess of longevity, and finally Solinar, which is another very very common deity for the players to utilize. The halfling point of view is next up, and my primary character back in the day was a halfling thief, and as a halfling thief, I'm just going to focus on I'm going to focus on Brandibos, and um, he is down here. He was the master of stealth. I'm surprised they don't have an image of him, or they probably do, and I'm not just turning the pages right. Yeah, the pages are not separating very well. There he is. So most of my time with this deity, then the we go to the gnomish. Oops. And I think that in most cases my players stuck to the main gnomish deities. The half-orc point of view. So very, very interesting articles to read about these various points of view. And I extensively used all of these deities in a massive orcish lair that there was a high priest of each of these deities inside that lair, and it really became a great a great experience for the players to encounter them in that role. So yeah, I think it's really important. I'm going to switch views. I think it's really important to include as many of these as you need to during the course of your adventuring and you're running your campaign. And like I said, I'm just hitting the most common ones, but there are many, many others that are also within the Greyhawk guide. I'm going to pause this one more to grab another source to go over with you. And so now I picked up another, pulled up another resource to go over with you. And so here we go. And this is a more complete list of Greyhawk deities. Again, this is coming from the box set, and so the gold box set. And here we go. And the deities are broken down into their various regions. So they're either common in most areas, Oridian, Sulois, Flan, Baklunish, or unknown. And the region of the world is kind of the regions of the world. These are cultural regions of the world of Greyhawk, and so you can find the various deities broken down into what regions you might find them in. So here we have Bori, which I've had players follow Bori. Bokab, as I mentioned earlier, in Calibus, Istis, Cord. Cord is another one that the players have certainly followed in the past. I've actually played fighters that followed Cord. Lendor, Nerul, Pelor. I had a player play a cleric of Pelor before. Procon, never used before. Rail, never used before. Thurisdan, obviously from the module. Weejas, I have used. Cinder is a greater lesser god. Lesser deities, let's just see any that jump out to me. As I mentioned, Celestian is in my current campaign. Elona is in my current campaign. Forlagan has been. Heronius is a very, very common deity for fighters and paladins to follow. Obad High is one that rangers have followed in the past. Um, Foltis has been followed. St. Cuthbert has been followed. Um, Waystry I used as a main figure in my 2.5 year or 2 years and 3 month long campaign. So Waystry was the one of the primary antagonists of the entire campaign, and the player characters were actually the um, working against the devices of Waystry, and trying to thwart his what he was looking to do in the world. And and at the same time during that campaign, they discovered that they were, yes, they were working against Waystry, but as part of a manipulation of another evil, archlich that was looking to ascend to demigodhood himself, and he managed to do so because of their uh, working against Waystry. So he kind of manipulated them to do a lot of his dirty work, which allowed him to ascend. So a really cool campaign, the way that it worked out, and it's a good way for you as a dungeon master. I'm going to switch views. Um, I think it's a great way for a dungeon master to get their players to be invested in the world when they're dealing with the machinations of deities, especially demigods. Greater gods really don't get that into the mundane workings of the world. But demigods are oftentimes just vying for additional leverage, in the world, and amongst the deities as well. So I think that you see more so demigods getting involved in the workings of the prime material plane, more so than others. I think it's a great way to get the players focused in in a world setting that is beyond themselves, something greater than themselves, and something that seems to be just a bit out of always just a bit out of their range, and so whether they're serving, a deity and doing their part in that role, or they're working against the forces of another deity, is I think it's a great component to include in your campaign. So I'm going to wrap it up here. If there's any specific deity of Greyhawk that you want me to focus on, please feel free to put that in the comments section, and I will talk in more detail on that. And As always, thank you for stopping in. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to subscribe and like the video, and leave your comments in the comments section. Share this out if you wish. And if you have a lot of experience, or even just some experience with any of these deities in your own campaign, please feel free to drop that off in the comment section as well. I'd love to have an interaction with you, just talking about utilizing deities, and how you had gone about it as well. And as always, I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen or at a convention sometime soon. Upcoming events on the channel. So on the 13th at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be interviewing Roger Rabitz, who is the coordinator, the creator of the Central New York RPG convention that is coming up in June. So stay tuned for that interview. So if you do subscribe today from this video, make sure you hit the alert button so that you will get the notification when that event is about to go live. I will be inviting people's comments during that live stream, so you're welcome to be there. And then later on in the month, on March 31st, actually my birthday, I am going to be doing a live stream where I have invited Fred Quenzer, who is the organizer of AutoCon, very, very local convention here in my own hometown of Pleasant Valley, New York. And so, and that's also in June as well. And we will be talking about his convention and seeing where that's standing right now too. So 2 upcoming conventions, 2 upcoming live streams, as well as anything else that I will be running over the next couple of days and whatnot, as far as videos are concerned and everything. So again, subscribe and hit that alert button so you'll get notification of all of these things upcoming. And as always, thanks for joining. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.